Good morning, everybody. Welcome. We are going to get started in just a minute or two. Thank you for being here. All right, it is 10 o'clock. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. I am so happy to see so many of you here with us this morning to learn more about Handhold. Before I get started on the content for this morning, just a few kind of housekeeping announcements. I will introduce myself first off. So my name is Kelly English. I am the director of the Children's Behavioral Health Knowledge Center, which is at the Massachusetts Department of Mental Health. I am joined this morning by my colleagues Jacob Ward and Dana Remian, who are at the UMass Donahue Institute. They're helping out with tech support this morning and keeping an eye on the chat for me. We are going to record this webinar and we will upload it and send it out to folks after today's session. And I think that's it. So what are we going to do together today? So in our quick 30 minutes that we've got today, we are going to hear a little bit about the kind of impetus for Handhold MA. Why did we do this? Learn a little bit about how we built the site and developed it. I'm going to take you on a quick site tour to learn about some of the key features of the site. I'm going to share with you ways you can help us get the word out, because the more families we reach with this, the better. And we want to learn from you about some of your ideas for Handhold MA 2.0. So I am going to share a quick little video just to get us kind of in the right mindset and thinking about this topic. So you can sit back and enjoy.
An elementary school teacher that my wife and I really trusted and respected. She says, yes, I've seen this behavior before, and your son's a great kid. And at the same time, I think he's going to need some special help.
I was seeing the signs, but I just was like, okay, well, maybe that's just him. You know, like maybe he's just not very social, right? Until I realized, like, okay, yeah, no, now it's getting, worse and worse.
He was always, a little rambunctious, as typical toddlers are. So, that was a little bit of a red flag. But finally, when he hit adolescence, he was doing things that were a little bit recklessly at school. That was a turning point for us to say, okay, we need help.
During my son's early years, he would just not sleep for 5 days in a row. That affected our son's ability to get up and go to school and to concentrate in school. And just to be honest, it affected my wife and I's ability to work on our regular jobs and to function.
And the family partner that we got was absolutely amazing. I still like get teary when I think of her. She helped us as a family. She taught us to live in the moment. And she helped me let go of a lot of the guilt that I had because I held on to that for a really long time.
I really had to advocate for her and, demanded that services be provided to her. You have to advocate for your kid.
It's also not to be closed-minded, like not to this is it and I'm only gonna look through this lens and only this option. There's so many options.
Find your voice and figure out how to advocate to the best of your ability. If you get answers that you don't like, ask again, ask another person.
You need to find that one person that you can connect to.
I started to believe that it takes a village to raise a child.
My advice is that you're not a failure. When you seek this support, you're helping your child to have a better future, a better chance at being a functional adult.
It's going to sound a little silly, but I started thinking that I also needed to help myself to be able to help my son. I reached out to my own supports. That actually helped me a lot.
So I love that video. We worked really hard on that with some amazing families. And I think just to share a bit about the team and who helped us create this, this is a screenshot of one of our team meetings. We had an amazing group of parents, providers. This is only a partial list of some of the folks who helped us with this. We had some great interaction designers. This is really a partnership between the State Department of Mental Health, the Office of the Child Advocate, and the folks over at the Children's Behavioral Health Initiative, which is part of the Executive Office of Health and Human Services. So we had psychologists and social workers, but parents who were really kind of on the front lines every day, especially more than ever now, who kind of told us, what they wanted to see in a website for parents. It really kind of emerged from a project that DMH started this spring, where we heard from families about what they might need so that we could reach them earlier in their journeys. And through that research project, Handhold really emerged. And what we heard from parents was that often they weren't sure whether or not they should worry about their child's mental health. Is this typical? Is this something I should worry about? We know some parents are over worriers, right? I'm kind of in that category with my own kids. And some families are under worriers, right? So how do we help families calibrate that so that they could get help sooner? Because we know the sooner you can get support and help for any kind of, whether that be physical health or behavioral health issue, the better, right? So you'll see this on the site and I'll walk us through this in a minute. So there's a section on should I worry? We also heard from parents that especially now where there may be waits for outpatient treatment or other types of care, might there be some things that they could learn about or do from home, because that's where we all are right now with our children. So we really tried to curate some resources that families could learn about to help them either navigate the system, because that was one of our big findings when we talked to families earlier this spring, that understanding how to navigate the system is really hard, and knowing where to start. So that was kind of the three main areas that you'll see on the site if you've already been there. Kind of, should I worry? What can I do? And then who can help? And so we really tried to make it kind of a user-friendly front door. We know that there already are some existing system navigation and treatment locator tools that were already existing in our site, in our state. So we weren't trying to replicate that, but really make a user-friendly, interactive place where families could go to get them to the right place. and hopefully get them to the right place as soon as possible. So I'm going to take you on a tour of the site, but these are just things to kind of get your self primed for kind of the design principles. We worked on this site with the amazing creative team from IDEO in Cambridge, who did a lot of the branding for us and designing the user experience. And as we talked with that great team that I showed you earlier, we really came up with these design principles for how the site should kind of look and feel to the person, the parent that's going to be there. So what we knew was that we wanted the site to kind of be really curated, right? That families are probably feeling already really overwhelmed. And what we didn't want to do was flood them with 1,000 different options and 1,000,000 different links and things like that to go to. That we really wanted to highly curate kind of best in class resources that were easy to find and easy to navigate. So you'll find that the site hopefully has this calming effect rather than trying to make busy, overwhelmed parents have to guess and figure out where they should go and what to do. We really tried to use family-friendly, user-friendly language that was not jargon, that wasn't government speak, that was really just kind of bite-sized basics. We also really wanted to make sure that parents already feel a lot of stigma or shame or worry, and we wanted to really make sure that there's no time for blame in this, right? You're doing the best you can for your kid. And so I think that's hopefully the tone that we set through that video that we all watched a few minutes ago together, to really help destigmatize this and just know that a lot of parents are in the same boat. We also wanted to be optimistic and hopeful, but also realistic at the same time. We didn't want to sugarcoat things and say this is going to be, easy, but also that inspire some hope as well. So you'll see that through some of the videos that are embedded throughout the site and just the language that we tried to use. And then the last two design principles, we wanted to kind of put parents in control, give them some choice, not an overwhelming amount, but let them find what might be right for them, and relieve them some of a bit of the choice making, right? So we tried to really balance that, and hopefully we struck the right tone there. And then we really wanted to kind of give them some strategies for preview for what's coming. So if you decide that, therapy might be the right thing, or medication, or whatever it might be for your kid, what might you expect as you start kind of embarking on this path? So I am going to take us to a quick tour of the site. So hopefully everybody can see that. So this is the landing page for Handhold. On this homepage, you'll see the three main kind of navigation areas for the site. Should I worry? What can I do? And who can help? The other thing that's really important, and we've gotten a lot of questions about this, is having the site translated into different languages. So we spent some time finding out what were the top languages, mostly for folks who are in the Medicaid system. So we got some data to find out that the top languages for folks in the public mental health system. So the site can be translated if you just click on the flag next to the language, it'll automatically translate. So we've got Brazilian Portuguese, Haitian Creole, simplified Chinese, Spanish, and Vietnamese. So that's how you do that. I'm not going to demo it here, but we know many of you are working with families whose primary language may be not English. So if you scroll down on the home page here, there's another way. We wanted to have multiple ways you could get to the same place. So if you click on one of these, it'll bring you there. The video that we watched together is there as well. And these lovely pictures that we had created for this. if you scroll down here, I just want to draw everyone's attention to feedback. There is a way to give us feedback on the site. We love getting, you know, kudos, but we also are curious to hear from people too about how the ways the site could be improved. So if you have ideas that come to you after our session today, that would be the place to pop them in, and they'll come to us and we'll figure out what we might do. We really are interested in hearing from folks about that. So I'm going to take you through this first section. I talked about parents really were trying to figure out, should I worry, right? So we built this 4-questionnaire just to help get parents thinking. And we worked on this questionnaire with folks from our psychologists, social workers, kind of experts, as well as parents, to help us design this questionnaire. So this isn't intended to diagnose, it isn't intended to, serve as anything other than that. This is really just to get people thinking and help get them to the right place. So depending on how parents answer this questionnaire, there's kind of an algorithm that's built into the back, but parents told us too, they wanted a sliding scale here rather than just kind of, answering, like a Likert 4-point scale or something like that. So depending on how parents answer this, so let me do this real quick. What behaviors you're worried about going away? Are the behaviors you're worried about getting in the way of daily life? So these are kind of big picture questions to really help parents calibrate whether or not they should be worried. And so once they answer those questions, you click finish. It'll bring you to the results page. And the way I answered this, it kind of brought me up in a way that it says, it sounds like your child could use a little help right now. So they might be having a hard time because of mental health issues. You see here, we tried to really destigmatize this, that it's, mental health concerns are just like worries about medical conditions. So again, that language where we really tried to destigmatize, no time for blame, that kind of thing. So parents can choose here, right? What can you do? Who can help? So let's go here next. So this is this area of the site where we spent a lot of time doing that curation for parents. There's another great video here. I won't play it for you, but just again, to hear from parents, we heard when we talked to families who helped with our site design, that hearing from other parents was really reassuring. It was really helpful to just hear what other parents had been through. So I'd encourage you to take a peek at those videos if you get a chance to go through the site. So again, this design principle of giving families, parents some choice about what to do is really reflected here. So I'm going to show you this. So we have a bunch of different topic areas and we have resources that are related to all of these in some different way. I'm going to call your attention to a couple things. One was we have some resources that are just geared towards more for parents, because we know right now many parents are struggling as well. So if you click on that, some of the resources that we curated that are just more, whether they be podcasts, we know some families want to listen to things, some families want to watch stuff. There's different learning styles, right? Some families want to read a book, some families, just want some basic information. So we really tried to be thoughtful about different learning styles and what people may want to, see, watch, read, that kind of thing. So these are resources that are more specific for families and parents themselves. There's a section on taking a behavioral health screening, and these are kind of our picks. These aren't necessarily, some of the resources here are things that we created with our team, but most of them are resources because we know our state is full of amazing, wonderful supports for families. And there's a broad community of people out there doing really great work in our community mental health system. So we didn't want to reinvent the wheel either. That was important to us. So you can see some of these resources that are more for parents. So some books they might want to read, other supports, people they could talk to, family organizations like PAL and the Federation are here. A great video that we're going to be, the center is going to be doing a more detailed deep dive on this, screening this video about parents who are in recovery and hear their own stories. This little care cards are some quick self-care tips for parents. Those are awesome. I encourage you to check those out. So that's one section, that's more for parents, and if you unclick it, it'll unfilter it for you. So let's take a peek at some of another resource. So let's say you want to calming down and anxiety. And you've only got 5 minutes, because that was the other thing. We knew that parents are busy, right? And don't have a lot of time. So what might they do, right? So here's a few resources and things parents could read about, watch, read, do. It are just in like a few minutes. But if you got more time and you want to go back to it, maybe you've got 15 minutes. There's this resource. And this has been one of the more popular things on the site as I've gone through the analytics. These great kind of calm down worksheets that parents can print off and walk through with their child. They're great. And created by some of my wonderful colleagues at DMH. So I'd encourage you to check those out. You just actually, and to go see any of these things, you can kind of click read more and it'll bring you to, these are internal to us, so you can get those worksheets there. Or let's see, calming down, anxiety, and maybe you got 30 minutes. There's some other things that are here too. So that's kind of that resource. There is a ton of stuff here. We think it's really kind of as we described it up here, a treasure chest of tips. There's all sorts of things, especially we hear a lot from parents that navigating the insurance system or understanding even what's available can be overwhelming and hard to figure out. So I'd encourage people to take a peek at the system navigation resource too. There's things about new behavioral health benefits that are available under certain commercial insurance plans in the state. The Autism Insurance Resource Center, which is an incredible, amazing resource for families, even for families with kids that maybe on the autism spectrum, but I'd also say that there's a lot of great resources there around navigating insurance just in general. So you may want to take a peek at that, how to apply for DMH services, and some of the resources that are available through the Children's Behavioral Health Initiative, some videos that we created a while back with Mass Health CBHI. So again, like if you've got a few minutes, I'd really encourage you to check this out. But finally, the last section of the site is really this who can help. And this is where, we were linking to existing treatment locator and resource tools in our state. So the number for the crisis is up here at the top because we thought there may be parents that they just do not need to go straight to that's where the level of worry is. So there's that. But I mentioned here what to expect and tips and tricks. There's a lot of great information there about system navigation and what to expect when you may want to just get started with treatment for your kid. And then again, lots of, these are just resources for families to go to. Network of Care Massachusetts, which is a recent effort from Mass Association for Mental Health, Blue Cross Blue Shield Foundation. There is a ton of great stuff here, and ways to get connected to outpatient and other resources that are available that may be that are available in our state. And so I'm not going to walk through these because we're running low on time, but when you get a chance, I'd take a peek at these resources. We know family resource centers are here that are more kind of social determinants of mental health, and helping families get connected with those resources that are at the FRCs. And we know too around finding help, whether they're for their child or for themselves around substance use. So I'm going to stop sharing the site and take us back to the slides here in our last few minutes. So just so you know where we're headed, our first iteration was really developed with parents and caretakers of kids ages 6 to 12 in mind. We've had a lot of requests for building this out for older kids or younger kids. And we hope to do that in the future. We had to start kind of somewhere. And so we do think there's kind of degrees of freedom on either side, that parents of younger kids and even older kids are going to find some resources here that are helpful. But some of the resources that are in that middle section are more geared towards kids who are in that kind of elementary school age. Our future dreams, you know, like I said, a broader age range. We know that a lot of educators are looking for resources too. We would love to build in a live chat feature so that we have a parent who may be looking for something and have a live person they could chat with to help point them in the right direction. And as I mentioned, we do have that feedback function. I would not encourage people to use that for if they're looking for mental health resources. It's more about website design. We've had a few families that have asked, like, I need help for my kid, into that feedback. If they need help, they should go to the Who Can Help page, because that web address or that email address isn't monitored very often. So I'm curious to hear from you all. Like, now that you've seen a bit about the site, what are your ideas for expansion? What are your future dreams? How do you see this being helpful? So pop those in the chat. I am so curious to hear what else you think this site could do if we got some additional resources to do that. So go ahead and type those in and we'll take a peek at those. We'll be saving the chat. So just in our final few minutes, how you can help us get the word out. This is super important. I know many of you on the call may be social workers or case managers, or you work in a school or a pediatric practice. We would love your help with getting this into the hands of more and more families. So maybe you could add a link on your website or your resource directory. A lot of us at DMH have added handholdma.org to your email signature. So that's one thing you could do that's pretty easy. You know, just talk about it in your personal and professional networks. Share it on social media. That would be incredibly helpful. Mention it at meetings. Many of you are at meetings with parents or with other kind of helper professionals. So talk about it and just help us get the word out. And for those of you who work directly with parents, it could be a tool you just kind of sit with families in front of. We're all on screens. And this is mobile friendly. If parents just have a phone, we did create it, and there is a nice mobile interface as well. So sit with a family and help them walk through it as a resource. And then we do have a getting the word out toolkit, and I'll show you where that is. That has sample social media language if you want to cut and paste from. We have a QR code. We have posters that are in all of the languages that the website's in. And that is really, you can find the media kit and resources here on the mass.gov site. So if you kind of go on mass.gov and search for, you know, the Handhold Media Toolkit, you will find all sorts of good stuff that you can just take and use in whatever way you want to help us reach more families. So with that, I am going to stop sharing and see if there's questions. So yeah, so there's some great ideas for expansion. So yeah, for transition age youth or emerging adulthood, that would be great. More LGBTQ plus resources. Terrific. Is there a way to filter for geographic regions in Massachusetts? So I see their question, Maya, about that. It's a good question. There isn't a way to do that on Handhold itself. It's intended to be a statewide resource. But if you go on to the last section of the site, the Who Can Help page, and you go to Network of Care, for example, there is a way to filter by zip code for resources in your particular community. So I'd say if you're looking for something in New Bedford, let's say, you can type in the zip code there and resources specific to that area. So that's the best way to do that. Let's see. Other questions? I see that Jacob or Dana, anything else that you're noticing in the chat that came up? Well,
no, I think you you answered some of the questions I saw about general community resources and location. There was a question about, do you have a timeline for developing the site for early childhood?
Yep. So not yet. We hope to do that. Again, it's kind of contingent on funding, as well as, just human resources and bandwidth to get that done. But we really do hope to be able to add that because we have gotten a lot of requests for building it out. What is the source for resources per community? So Anne, I see you're asking a question about the resources. What's the source of the resources per community? So that in the Network of Care database, which is a separate kind of site, I know that that group that worked on building Network of Care, which has the resources kind of by the geographic zip code, they did a ton of work with state agencies and providers, and they had an advisory group that really went through to curate all of those resources that are on Network of Care. And a section for siblings, that's a great idea. Thanks, Kate. All right. Well, we've gone a minute over, and I see that around adoption. That's terrific. Okay, thank you. So thanks so much to everybody. I want to be mindful of everyone's time. I know everybody's parenting, working, teaching all at once. So thank you so much for your time today, for being with us. Please help us get the word out to families. I am grateful to all of you for being here, and thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day.